أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we start a new week, we get to hear another beautiful tradition from the Prophet of Islam and his noble family. May God's peace and blessings be upon all of them. And hopefully we can take this hadith forward, this tradition forward into our lives over the next 7 days and try to make another change within our life. Today the Prophet is giving us beautiful advice, which is also advice which we see in our own language of English, a saying that we have that you reap what you sow, that whatever actions you do, you shall receive what the fruits of those actions are. If you sow actions of goodness, you will reap acts of goodness back in return. If you do actions of injustice, of evil, of iniquity, then that is what you will also get back in return. It's the rule and the law of cause and effect, that for every action there is a reaction. And this is something which our Prophet reminded us of 14 centuries ago. And in this tradition he says the following to humanity. He states, "The one who sows good is bound to reap good." As we see in this very short tradition, the Prophet is giving us the rule of life, the rule of the universe, the rule of how we are to function within society. Today you see that many people are, facing difficulties of many different types. Personal difficulties, personal challenges so many times. And maybe when we ask and speak to them and ask them why are you facing this? Give me some background of what you've been going through and what you've been doing. Many times we see that it is their own actions which has led them to be where they are today. Both for people who are suffering and also people who are in states of bliss and peace and tranquility within their lives. Now that doesn't mean that if a person is suffering, if there's some bad happening to them, that they are automatically guilty of that. Obviously not, because life is also an examination, a test from God. But you reap what you sow, as we read. Whatever you reap, if you sow goodness, you're bound to reap goodness. If you're good to people in your community, if you're good to your co-workers, if you treat your professor nicely, if you treat your classmates in a respectable fashion, hopefully they are going to reciprocate and be nice with you. They're going to respect you. They're going to give you the respect that you have given to them. But if you're going to go around cursing and being disrespectful and hurtful and condescending to other people, then guess what? They're going to reply in the same way. Many times, although we don't like to, but we have that saying that fight fire with fire. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. He did something to me, I will reciprocate with that same level of bad that they did to me. Obviously this is one understanding, and this is one of the ways that people lead their lives, the fight fire with fire. But we know that if you were to fight fire with fire at every instance, the world would be burning in flames today. Were the old adage of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and a limb for a limb and a life for a life to be enacted today, maybe there would be nobody left on earth. But we obviously have to forgive many times. We have to pardon other people. But we also should realize that if we are doing acts of goodness, if we're being good to people, if we're being kind, hopefully they will have that much humanity within them to reciprocate with that goodness. And so as we begin this new week, let us try to live by this ethos of the Prophet of Islam, to remember that if we sow goodness that we will reap that goodness back in return. And keep in mind that reaping doesn't mean immediately. Today if you plant a seed in your garden, chances are it won't grow for 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So don't be looking for instant gratification, instant rewards from people. This may come after weeks or months of you being a kind, gentle soul to those individuals. But let us make the first step this week and continue on in our progress in ensuring that we have the noble moral ethical traits every day of our lives. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.